In this short demonstration, I'll show you how to graph quadratic equations that are in vertex form, which is y is equal to a bracket x minus h squared plus k. Before we begin, you'll need to understand what a does, what h and k represent. A represents two main things. It represents how much the parabola will stretch or compress, and it also represents whether the parabola will open up like a smiley face or whether it will open down like a sad face. And the plus or the minus in front of the a is what determines that. The h and the k represent the vertex of the parabola, which is the turning point. Whatever your h is, and if it's negative, if it's, let's say, -2, that will represent your x, but the positive version of that. So for example, in our example here, our h would be -4, but the vertex would actually have an x-coordinate of 4. The k represents the y-coordinate of the vertex, and that stays the way it is. So if it's -3, it remains -3. And that's one of the biggest things that we need when it comes to plotting this equation. The second most important thing that you will need is to know the roots. And you know that a parabola might pass through the x-axis. And if it passes through the x-axis, that means the point that it passes through also has a y-coordinate of 0 because it's passing there, and that's a y-coordinate of 0. So to find your roots for an equation that's in vertex form, you'll need to do the following. Set y is equal to 0. Next, what you'll need to do is solve for x. So let's bring this 3 over, and it becomes +3. And what I'm trying to do is isolate for this x here. Next, I'll divide both sides by 2. And next, I'll try to isolate for x by getting rid of this square. And the way you get rid of a square is you square root both sides. Keep in mind that if you square root a number, there's always a plus and minus version of that number. So in our case, this would be plus minus the square root of 3 over 2 is equal to x minus 4. In our last step, we'll take this minus 4 and bring it over, and it becomes +4. And that means that we will have two versions of x. One version with positive this term and one version with negative this term. Let me show you what I mean. The square root of 3 over 2, and this is the positive version, plus 4 is equal to 5.22 with a y-coordinate of 0. And the negative version will be the square root of 3 over 2 plus 4 is equal to 2.77 with a y-coordinate of 0. So what we'll do next is plot these 2 points. 2.77 looks like it's over there, and 5.22 looks like it's roughly here. And lastly, our vertex, 4 and -3, is right there. And this point lies directly in the middle of these two roots. Now, since our a was positive, 2 being positive, this parabola will point up, and so you'll end up with something that looks like this. And over here, you have the symmetrical version, and it goes upwards. Now, depending on your teacher, they might ask you for a super accurate graph of this equation. And if that's the case, you can go ahead and find the y-intercept. And the way you can find the y-intercept is you substitute x as 0 because at the y-intercept x is 0. So let's do that really quickly. Let's substitute 0 into here. Y is equal to 2 times 0 minus 4, that's -4 squared, minus 3 rather. And Negative 4 to the power of 2 is 16 times 2 is 32. Minus 3 is 29. So, of course, you would need a much larger graph because this would keep going until it finally reached 29. So there you have it. That is how to graph a quadratic equation that is in vertex form. If you found this tutorial helpful, please support our channel by subscribing or by liking this video. If you have any further questions, you may visit our website at biology-forums.com. We are an online service for students seeking free homework help. See you soon.